is an example of a cash budget. Now, a cash budget is exactly what it sounds like. We are literally trying to figure out how much cash we're going to have, where it's coming from, where it's going, how much we started with, how much we're going to end up with. That's all it is. Now, you could have cash budgets for each month or each quarter, for the whole year. Most of the time when you do budgeting for the next fiscal year coming up, you're going to probably see that you have a cash budget for each month, but for the next 12 months. I've just simplified this and given you quarter totals instead of 12 months worth, but it works in the same way. You start out with, what's my beginning cash balance? So the first quarter, we've got a beginning cash balance of $12,000. Then you just need to list where are we going to get cash? Where do we have receipts? Okay, sometimes when we say cash receipts or cash receiving, I know we get a little confused because I think receipt is that piece of paper that we get when we go to a store and I've spent money and you give me a receipt. So that must mean I paid cash. Be careful. Cash receipts are receiving cash in accounting terms. So if we talk about receipting or a cash receipt, we're talking about we've gotten money from some source. So I just want to list, where did we get cash from? Well, my customers paid me some cash. Maybe that could be both cash sales and collections from people that had an account with us, so some account receivable collections. That could be one thing. We could have sold something. Again, any inflow of cash, whatever that be. We've got two listed here, collections from customers, and we sold some land in the second quarter. Okay, so whatever those are, you have 1, 2, 50, whatever those cash receipts are, you list them out and put them in the applicable period, total them up. Okay, that'll give me available cash to be spent, I guess you could say. So this is what we could have spent during each of these periods. Now let's figure out what we actually did spend. So we have cash disbursements. Again, you can get very detailed with this. I've listed cash paid on account. What if most of your items you get in on your expense side, you enter in as accounts payable and then you pay them throughout the period? But you could actually list out the specific types of cash disbursements, for instance, inventory, supplies, miscellaneous, repairs, utilities. You could actually list those out instead and put the applicable amounts next to them. So either way you do that, but there are several ways to do that. Listed out salaries and wages, and then we purchased some equipment in the fourth quarter. Again, whatever you spent cash on, and that's what we're going to list out here. We're going to add that up and then subtract it from that available cash balance. So this tells me if we had an excess of cash, we still have some cash left, or if we had deficiency, if we spent more than we had available. The bottom part is taking care of if you want to keep a certain amount of cash on hand. So if you have a minimum balance of cash that your company wants you to have, or maybe you even have something like a compensating balance where you have to keep a minimum amount of cash in your account. For either of those types, or again, any type of cash restrictions you may have put on yourself or the board of directors may have, then you can use this to determine if you need any short-term borrowings. And then when you do, if you do, when you're going to repay and how much is going to be repaid. So let's assume that for this company, Olvay's Olives, we want to keep a minimum of $10,000 in our cash balance. So we don't have any problem with that in the first quarter. And again, the ending balance in the first quarter becomes the beginning balance in the second quarter. And the same as with the third and the fourth, because this is, again, just flowing right into each other. But by the fourth quarter, you see that we're down to $6,600 with our excess cash balance. Well, I want to keep $10,000, so I'm going to need, if that's, how I'm estimating things are going to work, I'm going to need to find $3,400 worth of borrowings or financing to get me back to that $10,000 minimum balance. Okay, and you'd see if we went further to the next quarter, next month, the following cash budget, you'll see that repayments, one or multiple, pop up to get that $3,400 plus interest back to our funding source, our borrower, to repay that loan. Again, this is normally short-term borrowings, not long-term notes, because this is just for cash. Okay, so cash budgets. Hopefully not too bad.